So a little introduction to mail merge. Even though this is an Excel topic, a lot of the activities are going to be done in Word. And I was giving a little background on why mail merge is important. You have a primary Word document, and that document has variable portions and static portions. When I say variable portions, an example is in this first line of the letter. So here, who are you addressing to? If I have 50 people in my list, this is a variable part of the letter. And if you look at the Excel table that has been provided, you realize that there is a table that contains structured columns that we are going to feed into this primary Word document. So there is the name, there is a date, there is the outstanding bill, there's a deadline for payment. In this layout, these are my variable sections. My goal is to avoid doing a manual input of these sections and have this primary Word document feed on this structured database in Excel. So one, I avoid having to put in these variables one by one. And then when I'm done, I get the option to print in bulk or even display all the 50 or 100 people at a glance and then save it as one file. And this is why we are here. It can be applied in various scenarios. So aside bills, if you want to reach out to your customers on a product or you want to promote a certain service, this is mail merge for you. And that is why we are here. So this is just to give you a little background. Now, before we go through mail merging, we first need the primary Word document. Now, the primary Word document can be already typed, or you can start the process. So if you have the files, there are two. There's the Excel file and then there's the Word file. Now, let's go through what we have in the Excel file. So I have my first name, I have my middle name, I have surname, and then there's the outstanding bill for each student in this case. I have my due date, and then I have my address. I also have emails for each student, and then I have due date or today's date. So in all, I have these columns, and I'm going to feed these columns into my Word document. When you open the file in Word, this tool is available under mailings. So kindly confirm you have this tab, and then we'll go through what these sub menu in this tab will give us. So confirm you have the mailings in your Word version, and then we'll go through the process of letting this primary Word document speak to our Excel document in the background. And I must say that apart from an Excel database, you can also connect this to Access. You can also connect it to your Outlook. And then you also have the option of manually typing in the various components of your variable sections in your primary document, which is in Word. So this is a little background on mail merging and why it is a time saver. So it helps you avoid manually printing documents and then putting in variable sections. So we'll go through this. I'll pause here and then see if there are any questions before we go into the hard part. So we have the option to start mail merge. Now, this part gives you a step-by-step mail merge wizard. So in fact, this wizard combines all the actions that you see to my right in one interactive dialog box. But for learning purposes, I'm not going to use this today. This is very easy. It is important, I think, to understand the options you have in the other components so that when you want to make changes to your document, you know where to come to. So by default, I can choose letter, email messages, envelopes, labels, and even create a directory. But for this case study, we are going to start the mail merge with a letter. So I've selected my mail merge and I've chosen a letter. So it means I intend to actually go through this Word document, filling in the variable sections in a letter form. Now, when you go to the next button, select recipients. What select recipients will give you, it's an option to type in the list manually. So in my introduction, I said the primary document is always connected to a database, which can be in Excel, Access, or your Outlook. So if you don't have these available, you can't actually type in the list, which I find it very intensive. So as much as possible, you can avoid this and connect it to an existing list. So the second option allows you to connect to an existing list. So this is what we have here. So when I click connect to an existing list, by default, it comes to my documents data sources. You can actually direct it to where your existing Excel database is. Now, before I connect, let me go through some good practices with handling Excel database. Normally, when you type in data in Excel, you are basically working with a range of cells. So this is just a group of cells. But to make data management easy, it is good practice to always convert your range of cells into a table. In that case, when you have new entries, whatever this table is helping you do, you don't have to manually come and update. Because the data is housed in the table, it connects automatically to any output. So it's good practice to always handle data of this layout in a table. How do you get a table? Simple. You need to go to Insert, and then you insert a table. Now, if you are using a database in Excel, the first thing you need to do is make sure that your header starts in row 1. The mail merge is designed to pick the data with this layout or architecture. So please, let your headers start from A1, and then your content follows. The advantage you get here is when you insert a table, so when you're inserting a table, you select one cell, and then you go to Insert, and then you pick Table. The option is to press Control T. Control T is a shortcut to insert a table. So when I press Control T, you see that my table is mapped out. I confirm that my table has headers, and then I click OK. Again, the advantage is when your data expands, you don't have to bother about resizing the area for your data input. This is also useful to create pivot tables and also link to Power Query and all that. So I have created a table. And for this purpose, maybe I will name the table. It allows you to name it. So you can go to table design, and then I'll name this bills. So at this point, when I call bills, I am easily referencing the data over here. So again, good practice is please, when you are connecting to mail merge, let your header start from the first row and let the content follow from this point. So all the column headers are in the first row and the content flows. So I'm going to save this, and then I'll come back to my mail merge process in Word. So I come and then I choose use an existing list. Now, you need to be aware where your file is. So I saved my version on the desktop, and it is in this mail merge folder. And I'm going to connect it to the Excel version. So if you are doing this with me, you can open and connect it to your Excel, but please ensure that you've opened the Excel, converted it into a table, saved it, so that when you lift it into the mail merge, you don't have to come back and then do all those modifications. So if you are doing this with me, we are at the stage where we are connecting to our database in Excel. Now I'll select my database and I'll click open. And you get this dialog box. We need to understand what this dialog box contains. So the first thing you notice is you see the worksheet names in that workbook you selected. Now, when you see a $sign in front of a name, it means you are working with a worksheet. Please, this is not the table. You remember I named the table bills. What this is displaying are the various worksheets in your workbook. So your job is to point it to that particular worksheet that contains your database. So in my case, the table is sitting in data. I confirm that my first row of data contains column headers. And when this is all done, I'm going to click OK. So I've finished the second step of connecting my database to my primary Word document. Now let's go to edit recipients. So in my edit recipient list, it gives you a preview of what it loaded from Excel. So over here, you are able to see the data source, which is mail merge Excel. And it gives you the first column as well, using the name of the file you connected to. So I have my surname, I have my first name, I have my address, I have my email, I have my middle name, my outstanding amount, my due dates, and then today's date. These are the columns I'm going to work with. Now, you can play with some of these columns, edit them. Example, I can decide that for outstanding, I don't want to see in my mail or in sending the documents out, I want to exclude those who don't owe more than 10 cedis. So I can filter these people out if you want. You realize that there's Bernard Ricketts owes 5.7. So maybe you don't want to bother him with an email or a letter. You can actually set a filter using this advanced tool to say, okay, on this field of outstanding, I want you to bring me only numbers greater than 10. So this is my rule. And it means that anytime I connect to this database, whatever I'm doing is going to stay in this memory. Okay. So I can do that and then I'll click OK. So the edit gives you options. You can actually filter out individual clients, those you don't want to add to this mail merge over here. So that is what this option gives you. And then you click OK. So that is the second section. Edit recipient list. After you've loaded, you can edit using this button. Now let's proceed. The highlight merge fields allows you to highlight the portions that are variable in your letter. So as an example, if I complete my mail merge, I can use this button to highlight at a go all the various sections in my Word document. Now, based on the dedicated fields you have in your database, this tool is intelligent enough to match certain columns automatically. As an example, if it detects that you have an address column, that address column is going to be loaded with other components like names in this built-in block. Same thing with greeting line. So I'll come to this, but one thing you need to make sure you have is that you can check the mail merge has merged your various columns. In fact, it doesn't need to match it exactly. So there are some primary columns like first name. If you think your first name has been merged, you can confirm it here. So my surname has been merged. If I have job title and company, all these I can check. If I have an address, I can check. The idea is for these columns that are matched, it is going to use it for the built-in sections of my mail merge. Again, you don't have to match every column. So once you are okay, you can click and then you come back to these built-in sections. This is a letter. So I am going to create an address block. Now, an address block is an example of the built-in components of the mail merge. So when I click on an address block, I get this preview. What an address block has is a combination of the name column and then an address column. In fact, you can change this. So by default, it picks the recipient's name and then it picks the postal address that you have in your database. If you don't like this option, you can go through the various suggestions here. So my current selection says that give me the address with the first name and the surname. If you don't like that, you want to include Mr. to that, you can select. If you want only the first name, you can also select that. So the address block is giving you a built-in way, a tool that combines the first the name and then secondly, the address to make it easier for you to create an address block. Actually, you can bypass this option and create that manually. So I want the first name and then I want the postal address. So my preview is Yvonne, and then my PO box is here. Then I'll click OK. Now, when I insert an address block, I get this editable section. So it's a field. When you click on it once, you realize that the whole block is highlighted. This means that I have inserted a field for my database, and that is an address block. Now, the idea is I can preview my results. So when I preview, I click preview, I get how it's going to be displayed when I am done with the mail merging. So preview is available here. That is one way to see how it's going to be displayed. Now, apart from previewing, you also have the option of displaying the code behind this. This is going to be useful, especially when we come to formatting numbers. So one I've highlighted. Now, when I press Alt F9, I see the source code for this field. You don't have to bother about this, but I just need to show you that it is possible to see the source code. This is because at the point you are going to edit and put in some format to read dates and then numbers. So my address block is done. The next thing I'm going to do is to put in a name for this section, dear. So this is salutation. The salutation is dear, whatever name you want to put here. Again, you can replace this entire section with a custom greeting line, or you can take out only the name portion and insert a column here. So in the insert merge field, you have the option to manually insert a field. So what I'm going to do is I'm highlighting the space I have given for this. And my greeting is going to be dear first name or dear surname. The options are here. So I'm going to choose first name. So I'm going to choose dear first name. Now, again, when I preview from these two blocks that I have inserted, I have my address block and I have this here. So I have completed two inputs, the address and then the first name. You can also toggle back and then come back to the default display. The good thing is that when you preview your results, you could actually walk through the various clients in your database to get an idea on how it's going to be displayed. So I have Ellen, I have Francis, and so on. I'm going to go back to my defaults, and then I will continue the process. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm writing this letter. So I've put in this variable section and this one. Please be informed that as at or as of this date, now this is another variable section. What you need to do is to highlight the section or the space you have allotted for this. You need to also consider your spacing and all that. So to make it easier, you can even delete the section and then go and then insert your column. So please be informed that as at this date, so as at today, which is the column that I have there. Now, as at today, your outstanding bill is this much. So this field I have here is actually the date I'm writing this letter. And I've already captured that in my Excel file. So if I do a preview, you observe that my date is displaying as this. So as at this date, this is the date that is displayed. If I go back to the field display and I click here, I can highlight. If I press Alt F9, I get this source code. The advantage this gives me is I am able to edit this display. What I want to do is to make it read in a proper date format. Now, you observe that if I preview the results, this format doesn't look good. So I want to change the date format. So I'm going to use the default DDMMMYYY to give me a proper date display. So I'm going to press Alt F9. Again, I said pressing Alt F9 gives you the source code, which allows you to edit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to format the date properly. All you need to do is when you display the source code, you begin typing a / in where you have the cursor. So merge field today, merge field is the function here. Today is the column name. And then I type a /. Now, if you're comfortable with Excel custom formatting, what follows the / is a custom format that will help you display the date or the number in a proper way. So I am going to begin this with @ @ means this is a non-numeric value. And for this purpose, when you go online, you can see a lot of the other formats for dates, for numbers, for percentages, and so on. So I'm going to bring a space after this and then put in my desired output. So it's DD-MMMM-YY. So this is how I want my date to be displayed. And I did this by displaying Alt F9, putting a / after the space. I brought an @ and then I put in DD-MMM-YYY. Now, this is how I want to format this date. Now, let's go to preview results. So first, I get out of my source code mode, and then I'll click here, and then I'll update field. When I update field, the format I put in is updated, and I get this display. So this is to show you that if you connect it to a database, and especially with dates and numbers, if you want to correct and then put in the right format, this is how you go about it. In fact, aside this option, there is another way to get the Word document to pick up the exact formatting you have in your Excel. And that is using a dynamic data exchange. That will be covered in another section. But if you want to do this manually, that is the process I showed you. We are going to do a similar one in the outstanding bill section. So over here, my goal is to put in the outstanding bill for each client. And again, the process is to highlight the particular section of your letter and then go to insert merge field. So if you are getting the pattern, your goal is to highlight the variable section of your letter After you've connected to the database, you come to insert merge field, and then you put in the column that speaks to this variable section. That's basically it. So at this point, your outstanding bill was, so I'm going to put in the outstanding bill section for this particular client. And then I have 807. So again, I can walk through and then see it displayed for each client. Okay, so particularly for Ellen, this is currently displaying as 1250. Maybe I want a comma separator and then probably want a decimal as well over here. We are going to go through the same process of formatting this properly. The steps are, first, you click in once. So once you click the field, the entire field is going to be highlighted. And then your goal is to press Alt F9. So Alt F9 will display the source code. The reason we are here is that you want to attach the format. In fact, you don't have to stress. The moment you press Alt F9, at the point where the cursor is blinking, you observe the cursor is blinking when you display Alt F9. Yours is just to start with a /. Okay. If your format is going to be a number, in our earlier case, it was a non-numeric column, so I used @. But in this case, it's a number. So I'm going to bring hash right after the /. And then I'll bring space and then put in how I want my number to read. So in Excel formatting, 0 represents a number string. You can use hash as well. And because I want a comma separator, for the whole number parts, I'm going to bring comma and then bring 0. So this means I want a comma in the whole number part. If I want a decimal place, I can put in a dot and then put in 0 for one decimal place. If you want 2 decimal places, you can add an extra one. There are various ways to write a custom format for numbers. But bottom line is, once you display this, you put in a /, you put in the hash to represent a number, 0 represents a number in this case, comma for the comma separator, and another whole number, followed by .0. So let's see what this gives me. Please, you need to be sure how to toggle the codes, especially displaying the source code with Alt F9 and getting out of it. So if you are in the source code, you press Alt F9 together, and then you are back here. So once you apply a format, you right click and then you choose Update Field. So now when you choose Update Field, the format you put in here is applied. In fact, when you apply your format or you insert a merge field, you can still format like any normal Word document. So let's say I want to bolden these sections. I can use my mouse to actually highlight these sections and then apply formatting to these. Even though they are editable fields, they are still sitting in Word. So just to be sure, once you click inside, the editable part displays for each input. And of course, you also have this option here, highlight merge fields, to give you an idea which sections of your letter are editable. Okay, so this is where we are. Now, I'm going to go ahead and then complete the fourth editable part of my letter. So again, I just put these dots here to give an idea where I'm going to insert a field. You are not obliged to put in the dots as you saw. All you need to do is make sure you have the appropriate punctuation, in this case, a space, and then I'll put in my insert. So I'll go to insert merge field. And if you understand the context of my letter, at this point, I'm asking clients to take steps to pay this amount by due date. So by due date is available in one of the columns here. So I put in by due date. Again, this is displaying by default the format in this mail merge. So if I want to customize it, all I need to do is click inside the field. Once is enough. It highlights the whole block. And your goal is to display the source code using Alt F9. So you press Alt and F9 together. For most keyboards, you may have to combine F9 with the function key. So if you do Alt F9 directly and it's not giving you, please combine it with the Fn key. Reason we are here is that the F9 key, the Alt F9 combination gives us the source code. The only reason we need the source code is to customize certain values like dates, like numbers. Your job is where the cursor is active. Yours is to put in a /. You bring @ for non-numeric formats, and then you bring hash for numeric formats. So standing here, after you put in the hash or the @ sign, you put in a space, and then you go ahead and then you display or put in how you want this to read. So this is also a date, and I want it to be the same way. So I'll go DD dash, the MM is in caps. For some reason, it reads it like that. And then you have YYY as the date format. So this is what I want to do with the date format. When I'm done, I toggle back. So I press Alt F9 to move out of the source code mode. And then don't forget to right-click the field and then choose Update Field. So Update Field will apply your format, okay? And then give you the appropriate format that you want. So the advantage, again, is for the 7 or so clients that I have, instead of manually changing these fields one by one, with mail merge, I can create multiple custom versions of this primary document. Okay, so at this point, my letter is ready. I can just scroll through. In fact, I can also find a particular client. So maybe it hits me that one of the clients, I forgot to put in an address or something. I can search for Yvonne and then click Find Next. In my display, I'm going to see Yvonne's letter displayed over here. So that is the option that I have. Now, when I am done, I'm going to finish and merge. I'm going to finish and merge. Now, at this point, I'm going to pause and then see if there are any questions before I come in with a conclusion. Hi, team members. Are there any questions?
Well, there's no hand raised, but I guess if someone has a question, they can go ahead. James has his hand
Okay, so
raised.
James, please go ahead.
Okay, so Bernard,
Mm-hmm.
thanks for the good job so far. Please, I would like to ask, I missed this point about how you updated the field. I've been trying to search on the tabs field, but I think I lost which particular tab you clicked to update the field that you are now with the Alt F9.
Okay.
Thanks.
So let me go back to the the field selection. When you insert a field, you see when you click once, the field is highlighted. It has a unique way of displaying that variable section. After putting in your custom format, so in this case, let me go to Alt F9. This is the source code. And then you click Alt F9 to get back. When you are done with this, James, what you need to do is right-click the field. So you are just right-clicking the field. So you click once and then you right-click like that. If you're not standing in, I'm afraid you will not get this menu. So yours is to stand in the field, right-click, and then you go to Update Field. So if you did this right, then once you click, it should pick your custom format and then give you the appropriate display. I hope it's okay.
All right, good morning, Bernard.
Hi, Ishmael.
Right. Thank you very much for your support.
Sure.
Yeah, so I want to find out that can you use Microsoft Word Outlook for this?
Yes, I mean, at the beginning, I said this database can be in Outlook, it can be in Access, it can be in Excel. So if you select recipients and then you go to use an existing list, by default, you can get Outlook. But aside Outlook, you can also connect it to an Excel file or an Access. Any software, well, at least in Microsoft's case, that has a structured layout. So you can use your Outlook, you can use Excel, you can use Access.
All right, thank you very much.
Sure. Any other?
Yeah, Ben. You're in here. Hello,
Hi.
Ben.
Mm-hmm. Please go ahead.
No.
Hello. Okay, we'll take the next question.
Hello, Ben.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Tony.
Hi, Tony.
Is there a limit to the number of fields you can insert?
Well, there's no limit to the number of fields you can insert. You see, the idea is that it has default sections here. If these ones are not matched, you can still add extra columns. So I'm not sure there's a limit to how many columns you can feed in here. The important thing is that your data should be structured, starting from row 1 with headers, and then you should be able to connect each column. I'm not aware there is a limit to the number of columns you can feed.
Hello, Ben.
Hi, save us.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for the good job. Yeah, I have a question. I don't have my laptop open practicing in real time whilst we are doing this. But I just want us to, want us to see if this is possible.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if you look at the letter, it said, please be informed that as of, you have the 30 May and 2020, that was already formatted in this format, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the next date where you also went to do the manual formatting to bring it to this date format.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to use the format brush to just, copy the format from the 30th May and apply it to the 17th so that you get it directly?
Well, I would
Maybe we
say
can try that. I don't know if it's possible. I don't have my laptop to try it.
the best way to learn Excel is always to experiment.
Yeah.
So, I haven't tried it, but because you already know that using the format brush is a good way to do this. So let's try. I mean, you can
Yeah.
always give it a shot for learning purposes. So for this purpose, I'm going to insert another date here. So I'm going to mailings, and then I'm going to insert another due date. So now question is, with this due date here, am I able to take this format, Alt F9? So am I able to take this format, which is already here, home, and I hit the brush, and then I come and then display over this? It doesn't seem to work. And my understanding is because this is fed by a certain source code, okay, if that source code doesn't read what you want it to do, I'm not sure you can apply a cosmetic formatting.
Yeah, I don't think it did. What it did was just to apply just the formatting that was done in Word, which
Thank
is
you.
the bold.
The bold, yes.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I
That's
did.
the only
Okay,
thing that-
thank you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So, Bernard, thank you. My name is Raymond. I really appreciate your good work. I've learned a lot. But my question is, instead of sending the whole list via mail, can you issue a printout for the volumes in case you have to rather distribute the letters in hard copy and not via email?
So
And
Raymond,
is there any, yes.
go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, so my question, I'm saying that thank you so much for the good work. We've learned a lot and I appreciate your time. But the question is, instead of sending the list via email, can you rather issue a printout of the entire list? If there are 1,000 copies, for example, can you rather print them out at a go, sign and deliver the letter in hard copy instead of sending via email, assuming you actually have to deliver in hard copy?
Good question. So, in fact, that's the final step of the process. So, I'm going to finish that part and then I'll come and take the rest of the questions. So, it's a good question asked by Raymond. And after you put in the fields and all that, the final step is to finish and merge. Now, it gives you options. Yes, it gives you options. So, the first option is to edit the individual documents. What this option gives you is you are able to see all the 7, 8, 10 letters at a go. So whatever changes you want to do, if you want to save it as PDF, if you want to print, all that will be displayed. So if you choose this first option, then for the number of clients in your database, the multiple versions of the letter will be displayed as a separate Word document, leaving this original one intact. So it works like an output. The second option is to print directly. So even though you are seeing one Word document, printing directly would feed the printer with all the members in your database or the clients in your database. And of course, the third option is the default one, where if your default email software is Outlook, you can send email directly from here. So for this purpose, I'm going to click Edit Individual Documents. Now, observe. So I'm done. At this point, I'm done. If I preview my results, this is my letter. I have my greeting, variable. I have my dates and my amount variable, and I have my date variable and all that. So I'm going to finish and merge. So I click edit individual records or documents, and this dialog box pops up. Now, you have the option of merging all records, or select the current record, or pick a certain range. So maybe from page 2 to page 50. By default, you started this process to do it for all. So you check all, and then you click OK. So now when you click OK, what you are going to get is a second output named letters. So here, you now go through and then you see every custom letter to all your recipients. Okay? At this point, I'm sure yours is just to score the goal by printing or saving it as a PDF in one file, taking sections out. The advantage you have is that you can discard this and then come back and then create another version, okay, where you say, this time around, give me maybe from page 2 to page 4, okay, and then I'll click OK. So I now have the second version where it brings me a range instead of the entire thing. So there are options. If you want to print directly or save it as a PDF, the option will be to finish and merge by printing documents. So when I print documents, again, I select all, and then I click OK. Now, by default, your printer is displayed. For those who are using a very current version of Office, there's this option to print to PDF, Microsoft Print to PDF. Alternatively, if you have a custom PDF software, you can also use that. Or you can use the SPX writer, document writer here. This is Office's own PDF version. So I'm going to use this. And then I'll go ahead and then I'll click OK. So it gives me the option to save. So letters merged. I'm saving it on my desktop as a PDF document, one single PDF document. And then it will go through the process. So when I go to my desktop, I find one PDF document on standby. So in the final output, the options are many. You can actually print, you can save as PDF, you can take some portions and then display as you please. So Raymond, I hope that answers your question.
Very well, very well. Thanks so much for the great work. Very well. Thank you so much.
Sure, thank you. So we'll take some few questions, and then as I say always in class, the best way to learn Excel is to get your hands dirty. This at best is an introduction. In fact, if we had time, this tool is very interesting because it has this part here that allows you to even do a logic. So you can even trigger a certain output if a certain field is met, and some other advanced options. For the sake of time, we'll probably defer that to another session. But just to give you an overview of what we've covered this morning. Okay, I have a question from Nora. Hi, Nora.
Hi, Bernard.
Yes, Nora.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd wanted to ask, it's called mail merge for a reason, right? It's supposed to be sent to mails. I realized that it's not supposed to, but you can. I realized that you saved everything as a single file PDF. What if you're done and you want to send it to the individual through mail at once? How do you do it?
Yes. So again, there are some few things you need to check before you get that done. The first thing is your default mail messenger or software should be Outlook. I don't have Outlook, so I don't want to play with it. So if Outlook is your default, because it already recognizes or it has merged a certain email column over here. Okay, you can send it directly from your Outlook. So it will take that Word document or the PDF document. Oh, no, in this case, it's going to be a Word document, and then send email messages directly to your recipients. So, Nora, it's possible.
Thank you, Bernard.
Welcome, Nora.
Hi, Bernard.
Hi.
Carlson again. Just want to find out, before you email the final document to individual people on your list, is it possible to encrypt the document? That's the first question. And the second question is it possible to insert a signature, electronic signature, to make the document authentic? Thanks.
Okay, so good question. I'm assuming, in fact, I'm tempted to play with this and then see what we get. So this is to email. As I said, the moment you click to email, it brings as default that column that has emails. You can put in a subject line. Okay, you can put in a subject line, and then you can determine in which format you want to send this. So do you want it as a simple HTML, plain text, and in your case, send this as an attachment? So all those options are here for you. So if you want it to read as plain text sitting in the email, of course, you choose plain text. And then if you want it as an attachment, you can attach it. For signature, I'm not sure if this allows it, but I know for software, email software like Outlook and Gmail, you have the option to actually customize your own signature. So probably that will be a function that will sit outside this. But for attaching or sending as a plain text, I'm sure these options are available for you. Is that okay?
Yeah, but what I was trying to find out is that the attached documents should be encrypted.
Encrypted.
Is it possible?
Encrypted.
Yes.
I don't have much information on that. I will have to find out.
The reason I'm asking this question is that sometimes this can easily be done for the payroll where you sent out information on the payslip.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want the payslip of Bernard to get to Nora, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want that. So
Mm-hmm.
even if Nora receives it, Nora may not have the encrypted password to be able to access that document. So that's the intuition behind my question. So
I perfectly understand. So there will be a case where when I receive that attachment, I need to put in a code to access it. I believe that is a bit beyond this point. It is possible, probably going behind VBA, it is possible to align it with probably a column that has codes for each. But from where I sit, I don't have much information on that. It's something I really want to explore and then give you feedback in the future.
Thank you very much. I also do a bit of research and then link up.
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other question? We have some few minutes to round up. So while we wait for the question, I want to just quickly recap our journey this morning. The journey is how to save time. do or create multiple versions of a custom Word document. It can be a bill, it can be payroll or pay slip, it can be promotion of products. The idea is because you have different recipients, what Mail Merge allows you to do is to connect your primary Word document to a database. The database can be an Excel file, an Access file, or Outlook. Once you connect, so you start here, you connect here, you edit here, and then you can manually insert blocks here. You can preview your results and walk through, check for errors, find recipients here, and then you can finish merging as one document or PDF here. In fact, the idea is to save time. I've seen people call on this problem several times, and it's something you probably have seen, but you haven't paid attention to. Please get your hands dirty. And then if you have any challenge, feel free, reach out, and then we'll be able to assist. So this is the fifth in the series. This Saturday, we decided to expand it to members of the Excel Hacks community. And we welcome you. In the past 4 weeks, we've been giving sessions every Saturday to our class, the physical class we had at Legon. But because of COVID, we are now exploring an online option. In fact, we'll be launching a dedicated learning period called Season 5, where we'll be looking at intermediate, advanced, and intermediate advanced Excel topics called Excel for Work. We'll also be doing analytics, how to use Power Query, Power Pivot, and data models to handle data. And then we'll also touch on financial modeling. So the advantages for those who are not able to meet us physically, you can also join Season 5 after the class. If you want to join our dedicated WhatsApp group, which is where we have our learning, you can send, of course, you have my number. So you can add me to the class. We'll launch in June, and then we'll give you details of the components or the content of each course. So thank you for making time to be with us this morning.